6 members responding to the call, the chair declares the existence of a quorum. We are now officially in session. The committee will now proceed to the reading and approval of the minutes of the meetings held on February 24, March 2, 3, 4, inclusive, and March 11, 2026. For the record, the Secretariat has already distributed copies of the minutes to the members of the Justice Committee. The Chair is now ready to hear the necessary motion to dispense with the reading of the minutes and for its approval.
Madam Chair,
The Honorable Dilima.
I move to dispense with the reading of the minutes of the previous meeting and for its approval.
There is a motion
Second, Madam Chair.
to dispense with and approve, to dispense with the reading of the minutes of the hearing held last February 24, March 2, 3, 4, and March 11, and for the approval of the same. The same has been seconded. Is there any objection? Hearing none, the motion is granted. The Chair will address the committee. We are here today for the resumption of the impeachment proceedings against the Vice President. Today's agenda is simple, yet heavy with consequence. We reiterate that we are not here to decide guilt or innocence. Hindi po ito paglilitis. Hindi pa. We are here for one question. Isang tanong lang. May sapat bang batayan para ituloy ang proseso ng impeachment? That is the only question before us today. Are there sufficient grounds to proceed? Sufficient grounds. That is the question. Wala nang iba. Let us be clear. Today is not about judgment. Today is about justification. Hindi tayo huhusga. Titingnan lang natin kung may dahilan para magpatuloy. To recall, this committee began with 4 impeachment complaints. The first was set aside dahil sa posibleng paglabag sa 1-year bar rule. The second was withdrawn, with the complainants opting to support the third complaint, which brings us now to the third and fourth complaints, the Zaballa et al. Complaint and the Cabrera complaint. Both complaints underwent scrutiny. Both were tested. Pinag-usapan ng mabuti, pinagdebatehan ng matindi, sinuri sa bawat anggulo. Every allegation was questioned. Every point was challenged. Every argument was tested. At tandaan po natin, hindi lang ito ilang pahina. These complaints came with voluminous records, pages upon pages, with annexes and supporting documents. Hindi lang binasa, ito ay inaral. And at the end of that long process, both the Zaballa et al. Complaint and the Cabrera complaint were found sufficient in form and substance. At bakit mahalaga iyon? Because the accusations are not trivial. They are serious, they are weighty, they demand answers. Kabilang dito ang mga aligasyon ng banta sa buhay ng presidente at iba pang opisyal, hindi maipaliwanag na yaman, paglabag sa SALN requirements, panunuhol, at maling paggamit ng confidential funds. Kung ganito kabigat ang mga paratang, hindi pwedeng manahimik. Kailangan itong sagutin. Following the rules, the Vice President was furnished copies of the complaints. She was given the opportunity to respond. Iyan po ang due process. Sa proseso, lahat binibigyan ng pagkakataong magpaliwanag. And she responded. She submitted her answer, 15 pages, with 5 annexes, signed by 16 lawyers, 16 na abogado. And this is crucial. Ito lang ang bago sa atin ngayon. Not the impeachment complaints, because those have already been reviewed, debated, and tested. Not the allegations, because those have already been examined in detail. Ang reklamo laban sa Vice Presidente, napagdaanan na. Ang sagot ng Vice Presidente, iyan ang bago. So today, we do not go back to square one. We do not repeat what has already been done. Ang susuriin natin ngayon ay ang sagot ng Vice Presidente, ang tugon niya sa reklamo. Which brings us to this moment to determine whether there are sufficient grounds to proceed. So we ask, did the answer clear the air? Did it refute the allegations? Did it address the seriousness of the charges? Because remember, when the accusations are heavy, the answer must be heavier. At ito ang sentro ng ating pag-uusapan ngayon. Hindi na ang reklamo, na pag-usapan na natin yan. Ang sentro ngayon ay ang sagot. Kung mabigat ang paratang, dapat matibay ang paliwanag. So we focus, esteemed colleagues, on the answer, on its clarity, on its sufficiency. At higit sa lahat, kung ito ba ay diretsyong sumagot sa mga paratang, not evasion, not generalities, kundi malinaw at direktang pagsagot sa bawat aligasyon. And at the end of the day, we return to the question, now that the answer is before us, do we still have sufficient grounds to proceed? Did the answer overturn our earlier finding of sufficiency in form and substance? Did it change anything? Did it weaken the case? Pagkatapos nating suruin ang sagot, may sapat pa rin bang batayan para ituloy ang proseso? Because if there is, then we move forward. If there is none, then we do not. Ang hustisya ay hindi minamadali, pero hindi rin pinipigilan. Iyan po ang tungkulin natin ngayon. At sa pagtupad natin sa tungkuling ito, manatili tayong nakatuon sa malinaw na tanong at sa malinaw na batas. Dahil sa huli, kung malinaw ang tanong at malinaw ang batas, dapat malinaw din ang ating paninindigan. I wish to reiterate, our agenda today is the determination of the sufficiency of the grounds for impeachment complaints against Vice President Sara Z. Duterte. In this regard, the committee notes the appearance ad cautelam and consolidated verified answer ad cautelam filed by the respondent, which was received by the committee on March 9, 2026, 4:25 p.m. That is for electronic. And on March 16, 2026, and for electronic filing at 4:30 p.m. The committee further notes the manifestation of waiver to file reply submitted by complainant's Reverend Father Joel Sabalia et al. And complainant Attorney Nathaniel Cabrera. The same were received on March 17, 2026, and on March 18, 2026. Before we proceed, we would like to hear, of course, we wish to place on record that copy of the appearance ad cautelam, notice of appearance, consolidated verified answer ad cautelam, including the manifestation of waiver of the third impeachment complaint, as well as the fourth impeachment complaint, were provided already ahead of our today's hearing to the members of the Justice Committee. With that, esteemed colleagues, we would like to proceed to our deliberation proper, beginning with the position of our endorsers with respect to the sufficiency in ground. May we call first the endorser of the third impeachment complaint, the Sabalia et al. Impeachment complaint.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And before that, this representation as the endorser of the third or Sabalia et al. Complaint wishes to confirm that indeed the complainants filed a manifestation of waiver to file their reply. And it's because after a careful study of the consolidated verified answer ad cautelam, complainants in the Sabalia et al. Impeachment complaint are of the position and concurred in by this representation that the same failed to controvert the material allegations in the complaint. The consolidated verified answer does not specifically address the allegations raised in the complaint. We also note that the answer still harps on the issue of sufficiency in substance, when that very issue has been earlier or already settled by the positive declaration of an overwhelming majority of this committee. The rest of the points raised in the answer evince a confusion between ultimate facts and evidentiary facts. So, since the answer does not specifically traverse the material allegations nor provide a substantive counter version of the facts, there is nothing for the complainants to respond to. And that's why, for these reasons, complainants deemed it unnecessary to file a reply. So that is a confirmation of the manifestation of complainants of waiver to file a reply. Now, the core agenda today is the determination of the sufficiency of the grounds in the complaints. Now, we all know, I just have to read what is reflected or stated in the complaint itself about the 6 grounds. Ground number 1, VP Duterte committed culpable violation of the Constitution and betrayed the public trust by committing plunder and all malversation, graft and corruption, and other high crimes in amassing and converting the amount of not less than 500 million pesos from the confidential funds allocated to the Office of the Vice President for the years 2022 and 2023. Ground number 2, VP Duterte committed culpable violation of the Constitution and betrayed the public trust by committing plunder and or malversation, graft and corruption, and other high crimes in amassing and converting the amount of not less than 112,500,000 pesos from the confidential funds allocated to the Department of Education for the year 2023. Ground number 3, VP Duterte committed culpable violation of the Constitution and betrayed public trust by corrupting and bribing officials of the Department of Education. Ground number 4, VP Duterte committed culpable violation of the Constitution, betrayed public trust, and committed high crimes in contracting to murder or assassinate the President, the First Lady, and the former Speaker of the House. Ground number 5, VP Duterte committed culpable violation of the Constitution and betrayed public trust in amassing unexplained wealth and failing to disclose all her properties and interests in properties in her SALN in violation of Section 17, Article 11 of the Constitution. And the last ground, ground number 6, VP Duterte committed culpable violation of the Constitution and betrayed the public trust in committing acts of political destabilization and the high crimes of sedition and insurrection. We will please all note that there are 5 constitutional general grounds alleged in the complaint: culpable violation of the Constitution, graft and corruption, bribery, other high crimes, and betrayal of public trust. And you will please also recall that in the discussion on the sufficiency of substance, actually, the matter about the existence of these grounds have been touched already, in addition to the determination of the discussion or the inquiry into the sufficiency in substance of the complaint. So I see no reason why we will have to go through incisively into these alleged grounds, the enumerated grounds in the Sabalia et al. Complaint. When in the first place, as I expressed earlier, the answer did not specifically controvert any of those material allegations. They are deemed admitted. Only a general denial can be said to be can be said to have been interposed. But was there, in fact, an answer to the material allegations? Yung mga tungkol po doon sa pagbanta nga po sa Pangulo at iba pang opisyal, tungkol din po sa malverse ng mga pera, yung hindi pagkaka-explain ng mga confidential funds, anomalous disbursements, yung mga certification ng VP Sara, siya mismong pumirma, yung mga liquidation vouchers, liquidation reports, accomplishment reports, siya mismo ang pumirma, yung pag-deliver ng perang ito, doon na nakita natin doon sa affidavit as attached to the complaint ni Mr. Ramil Madriaga, kung saan napunta, hindi ito doon sa mga tamang gamit para sa confidential funds. Walang sagot tungkol doon sa mga notices of suspension, pag-issue ng notices of suspension, notices of disallowance. Wala po yan. Wala silang sagot tungkol doon. Wala ding sagot tungkol doon sa mga envelopes na yon na dinistribute to certain DepEd officials. Nasaan yung mga sagot sa mga tanong na yan? Nasaan ang sagot tungkol sa non-disclosure sa SALNs ng tamang yaman, yung talagang tunay na yaman ng VP Sara? Yun po ang mga tinatawag na mga material allegations. And yun din, ang mga allegations na yan, ang nagko-constitute ng mga grounds na binanggit sa complaint, pero walang sagot. So no, it's pointless really to further scrutinize whether indeed there are sufficient grounds, because that has been exhaustively discussed already in relation to the issue of the sufficiency in substance. So I humbly and respectfully submit to this honorable committee. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable De Lima. Before we proceed, we would like to acknowledge the presence of the Honorable Robert Nazal from BH Party List, and of course, the Honorable JCM Abalos from 4PS Party List, deputized by the Honorable Minority Leader Marcelino C. Libanan. The committee takes note of the endorser's confirmation of the manifestation of waiver to file a reply of the complainant. But may I know, Honorable Dilima, if there are complainants present today to further confirm the manifestation of the waiver of the filing of reply?
Madam Chair. Madam Chair.
The gentleman is recognized.
Congressman Fortes.
The
Madam
Honorable
Chair.
Fortes is recognized.
Yeah, Madam Chair, just a point of inquiry. Considering that answer has been filed, issues has been joined, the answer has been duly signed by counsel of the respondent, BP Sara. Does the rule of the impeachment under the House allow the respondent to be represented at this point of time of the proceedings by their respective counsel?
Reading from the rule, Honorable Fortes, the proceeding before the Justice Committee is for the justice members only. If indeed the participation of lawyers of the parties are allowed, the same are limited to assisting the respective clients.
Thank you for that clarification, Madam Chair. But in the same way that the Chair is inquiring as to the presence of the complainants who would confirm the waiver, will BP Sara, if she so decides, appear before these proceedings at this point in time, in the same way that complainants will be allowed to
The
confirm?
proper time for the parties to participate, which includes the complainant, the witnesses, and the respondent, will be the hearing, during the hearing proper. That will happen after the determination of whether or not there's sufficient ground that supports the impeachment complaint. The only reason why we are asking the endorser if there are complainants who are present is because it is provided under the rules that they may file a reply in a period of 3 days from receipt of the answer. The Committee on Justice is in receipt, of course, of the manifestation of the waiver. But since the confirmation was done by the endorser,